Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Friday broadcast of the Marco Jure Show, everybody. It is July 25th. Thanks for stopping in before we head into this weekend upon us. And, of course, staying up to date on all the groundbreaking news across the country and beyond, where the facts are facts and the hard truths thrive. Please make sure to like, follow, and share the show with some friends. Continue to wake people up. I do appreciate when you do that. And I see our numbers growing. I'm really happy about that, so thank you for that. I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you. But let's get ready for the best hour that radio has to offer, shall we? Yesterday we talked about the passing of Hulk Hogan. And one of the parts I briefly touched upon was his belief in Jesus Christ. Now, why do I bring this up to you again? Because in the world in which we live in, which there's so much chaos, there's so much going wrong with everything, we see the fabric of our society being ripped apart, there is always still hope that we can all look forward to. That's a truism. There is always hope that we can make things better. There's always hope that we can change things in our own lives. You know, I always tell you to get square with God. I was told this years ago by a friend of mine that I worked with. He said, make sure you get square with God. And he couldn't have been any more right. But here's Hulk Hogan. I want to play this for you. And I should have played this for you yesterday. I heard this after the show, and I was like, you know what? Everyone needs to hear this. Because we see Hulk Hogan as obviously this big imposing figure, obviously this behemoth of a man. I mean, God, I don't even know how tall he was. He's huge. Absolutely huge. But we see him in the ring, we see him on, these reality TV shows, but who is the man Hulk Hogan? Where did his heart lie? What did he believe in? And I think this totally captures exactly who he was as a person and where he is now. Let's take a listen.
The only thing that is really real is the stuff that's going to last forever. You know, your faith and your belief in God and knowing that, once you're a Christian, you've accepted Christ as your Savior. You're not going to perish, but you're going to have everlasting life. That belief in itself and that faith is what's pretty much the only thing that's real to me,
It's amazing to me. Now, he was, as I said yesterday, he was just baptized again 18 months ago. And he had this almost like a rebirth. You're born again is what some people call it. You're born again, right? And he was baptized in a Baptist church. But it's amazing to see someone so late in their life, in their 70s, come back to Jesus. Come back to that connection, that bond, that blood covenant, and how it could just radically change your life for the better. I think a lot of people oftentimes, they see this as, something that's not significant. They kind of brush it off. But he was very much in tune with his spirituality and his belief in Christ. And again, this is something that is positive. This is something we can all look to Hulk Hogan as really a role model in that field. This big imposing guy who's ripped out of his mind even at 71. Still has a connection with Jesus. I mean, it's really remarkable. And right now a lot of people are hurting. Yesterday after the show I saw that social media was just flooded with these memes. I mean, just funny memes, just memes of his career and what have you. A remarkable human being. Really and truly. And for him to open up about that and share that with everybody, he's got millions upon millions of fans throughout the decades. It was just a very wonderful thing to see. So I wanted to share that with you because this is a side of, again, these people that we look up to, or these people that we admire, or these people that we like, that we never really hear from because it's not something that's always in the press. So I wanted to share that with you. And again, my condolences go out to Hulk Hogan's family, his friends, his loved ones, and it really tore people up yesterday. You know, I grew up wrestling, and even though I wasn't into professional wrestling very much, it still hit a lot of people in the wrestling community because, again, he was the guy. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. He was the guy. And he'll always be that guy. And we lost someone great yesterday. We lost somebody great. So again, I wanted to share that with you just to start things off today. Before we jump into this next article in the New York Crimes, it says that the Trump administration sues Adams in New York City over sanctuary laws. Well, this is long overdue. This is long overdue, and it's unconstitutional, so hopefully we win on this. It says here that Mayor Eric Adams, whose corruption charges were dropped so they could help with deportations, is among the defendants in this lawsuit, which he argues the federal government has sole power over immigration. He's not wrong about that. That is the federal government's job. But when you have a state or when you have a local municipality that is helping to aid and abet illegal aliens to stay in the country or release them from any type of sentencing, then we have a problem on our hands. Then we have a big problem on our hands. And you saw that he was completely overwhelmed during the first part of his mayoralship. He was completely overwhelmed. He couldn't take it. He had to redact their sanctuary policy to an extent of saying, hey, Joe Biden, we need help. You're just flooding us with illegal aliens, and we can't even house these people. And that's why you saw the people outside of the Roosevelt Hotel, which was once a wonderful hotel in New York City. It's now a dump, I'm sure. Who the hell's going to want to go stay there now? But you just see these people just corralled outside of this hotel, just laying there. I mean, this is what the Biden administration brought us. So now the Justice Department on Thursday sued Mayor Eric Adams, claiming that New York City is thwarting the Trump administration's enforcement of its immigration laws as it escalates to crack down on the country's largest sanctuary city. New York City's been a sanctuary city, guess for how long? Since 1989. We're going back almost 36 years now. 36 years. You have a policy in place that you will not cooperate with the federal government and that you will, again, help illegal aliens to stay and remain in your city. Now, last I checked, everyone that takes this oath of office swears an oath to the Constitution. They swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Do you think these Democrats are doing that? Then again, I'm not trying to single out Eric Adams. He did come out in support of that in the first part of his administration here. But every single Democrat that has these sanctuary laws, they're violating their oath of office. They're violating their oath of office. They should be thrown out of office. That's the way it should be. So the lawsuit, which also names the city council, the police department, and its commissioner as defendants, was the latest legal action by the Trump administration against so-called sanctuary jurisdictions. You know, this comes after similar lawsuits you saw in Illinois, in Chicago. Yeah, all these big cities and all these big blue states, they're all in the same lockstep with this. And they're all seeing litigation now. So you see, again, Illinois, Chicago, you see New Jersey, same situation. Who's it run by? The Democrats, of course. Who else do you see? Los Angeles, right? Absolutely. Comrade Bass, she's not going to follow immigration laws, is she? She's not going to cooperate with ICE like any normal, sane human being that wants to protect their city would. No, they want to let the illegal aliens run wild. That's fantastic. That's fantastic for them. And again, you have Gavin Newsom again. You had people in Camarillo weeks ago throwing rocks at ICE agents. There was a raid on a marijuana field where they found unaccompanied minors working as well. Not even with their parents. We didn't know who they're with. And Gavin Newsom, instead of calling that out for the inhumanity that it is, first of all, and just the illegal action that it is to hire illegal aliens, which is against the law. Instead of that, Gavin Newsom goes after ICE. That's who he goes after. I told you before, he has said this. He has said on record, these are his people. The illegal aliens are Gavin Newsom's people, folks. Never forget that. Never forget that. And you're seeing it play out. They will not enforce the law. They will not do anything that will help the Trump administration deport illegal aliens. This is their voting bloc. And they know that 3 out of 4 illegal aliens will vote Democratic in any election they can. It's a voting bloc for them. Why did Biden flood the country? I told you this before. He had to bring in people to Texas. Why? Because they wanted to flip Texas. That's why Texas is roughly purple now, despite being successful in the last election cycle. They're trying to turn it purple because they know, based on the Electoral College, if they win Texas, they're good forever. They don't have to worry about anything else. They have to worry about Wyoming or what Arizona does or what, these other states do in the Midwest. They've got it. They've got it locked in the bag. So they flip Texas, they've got it forever. They're good to go. Nothing's stopping them now. They're just a smooth ride, baby. Democrats forever. Melt that border down, remove the border wall, let everybody come in. Where's your country now? Where's your country now? It doesn't exist. A nation with no borders, no immigration laws, no assimilation. And again, no respect for the rule of law is not a nation. That is I don't even know what that is. A Tower of Babel? I don't even know what it is. It's nothing. It's not a country. I'll tell you that much. No sovereignty. That's what these people believe in. Zero sovereignty of the United States. And of course, they use the guise of we're all, immigrants. I've told you this before. We're all immigrants. We're all this. We're all that. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's their way of trying to get what they want. Which is getting people from the third world to come to the United States that don't share our values, that don't want to share our values, that don't want to assimilate to our values, and of course, many of which want to leech off the system. Yes, I know many people come in here and bust their ass and work hard. I understand that. But it needs to be done in a legal way in which we authorize. Because then it cuts down on Americans from getting jobs. And when you have unemployment in every single, state or in the nation, why would you usher in another 1 million people? I'm confused about that. The latest thing is, we need to bring in people from India and H-1B visas to do engineering jobs. Why aren't we looking at our own universities and hiring here first? It's not like we have a shortage of engineers every year. We have 116,000 on average. New engineers every single year. And the Trump administration's idea is to bring in now more people from India to work these jobs? Folks, we talk about America first. When are we going to get America first here? I'm waiting to see this. I'm waiting to see this now. Because this is not good stuff. This is not good. We don't want this. We don't want sanctuary cities. We don't want sanctuary states. We want America first. The American citizen. That's who we should be looking after. Not everyone else in the entire world. It's unbelievable here. Now, we'll see if anything comes of this case. I don't think anything's going to happen as a result of this. What are they going to do? Pay a fine to the United States federal government? Nothing's going to happen here. But what I think will happen, if anything, is that you'll see Adams starting to open up. He'll start getting NYPD to, again, work with ICE. I think that's what he'll try to do. And I think if you see that, hopefully this Mom dummy idiot, this communist doesn't get into office, because then you'll see absolutely no connection between the local and the federal government here, which is the big problem. It's a big problem here. This article in Breitbart shares this interesting take now, too. We see what's going on with our sanctuary cities, of course, and you see the Trump administration now going into other governments. What do I mean by that? This is in Breitbart. It says that Howard Lutnick says that TikTok will soon go dark unless China makes a deal to sell the platform. I thought we were capitalists in this country. Last I checked, we were capitalists in this country. Yet they're saying the future of TikTok in the United States remains uncertain as the Trump administration threatens, there's that word again, threatens, to shut down the Chinese app if a deal involving the sale of TikTok to U.S. buyers fails to materialize. So here we go. We have a company in China. You can say what you want about the Chinese, but you have a company made in China. Someone made this app, right? That's very, very popular among Americans. Many business owners use this app. And now they want to come and say, you must sell this to us, otherwise we're not going to let you use this in the United States. Now, they tried this once before, and of course they didn't capitulate. And the Trump administration went back on this, of course, and said, okay, we'll let the app stay for a certain amount of time. And this seems to be their MO. If you don't get the first time, we'll threaten you later on. I mean, I don't understand this. And I know the Chinese use certain algorithms to target certain demographics or certain age groups to see content that is negative. I understand that. But this goes back to the fact that your kid shouldn't even have a phone in the first place. You know, why does your 10-year-old need a cell phone of their own that has access to the internet? I don't understand it. They don't need it. They don't need to be on TikTok. They don't need to be on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or whatever the hell else is out there now. I don't even know. They don't need to be on these apps. They don't need to be on these texting platforms or anything like that. They don't need to be seeing all this content on the internet that's being sent to them. They don't need it. They simply don't need it. So you as a parent should step in and say, you know what? My kid's not getting a cell phone like this. They're not going to get a smartphone. They don't need it. They simply don't need it. And you need to stand your ground as a parent and say, you're not using TikTok. You're not using this. Because, again, it's not necessary. And, of course, the physical harmful effects mentally of these children that use these phones are a problem as well. But, again, this ongoing saga surrounding this app, TikTok, again, that supports many businesses. You are pretty much free to do whatever the hell you want on there. So if you want to get on and play parts of my show on there, you can get up on there and do that. You know, we can't really say that in terms of many U.S. streaming platforms, can we? You know, you've gotten shadow banned on certain apps like TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or what have you. Primarily, this is a pretty free platform where you can get information out to people. And it was extremely popular with the Republicans in the last election, which is why I'm kind of shocked about this whole thing. Now, again, they try to come out and saying things of the sort of, you know, the Chinese can hack this, they can get information, and what have you. So then, why are you letting people in Congress download this app on their cell phones if they can be hacked? I mean, anything can be hacked if it has the internet, by the way. Just so we're all aware of that. So if that is a concern, then nobody using a cell phone in Congress should have this app on their device. That's the way it should be. I don't know why you'd want TikTok on it anyway. But this is what they're trying to sell to us, of course. So it says the surrounding fate of this app, TikTok, in the United States has taken a new turn as President Trump and his administration threaten to shut down the popular video sharing app if a deal involving its sale to the U.S. buyers fails to come to fruition. Why do they want this? Why do they want this? Because they want to control the app, folks. That's what it comes down to. They want to control the app. The government wants to control the app. That's what all this is. Again, we can look at COVID. We look at how if you went out and spoke out against the lockdowns or the vaccination or the masks, and you presented information, you were shadow banned. Your content was reported. It was taken down. You were silenced. That's the way it worked. So Trump's Commerce Secretary, who's always seen with him, by the way, did you ever notice that? You ever notice we've always seen Howard Lutnick in the background of all these videos with Donald Trump? It's very interesting to me. Recently confirmed during an appearance on CNBC that if China does not approve the latest version of the deal, which would result in the United States' specific version of TikTok, whatever that means, the administration is prepared to shut down the app in the near future. Lutnick stated that under this proposed deal, that China can have a little piece or ByteDance. The current owner can keep a little piece, but basically Americans will have control. What do we get off on this? That we come out and tell another company, a private company, by the way, that they have to do this for us. The United States specifically. Again, if you don't want to use the app, don't use the app. I don't use the app. I don't give a damn about it. I don't have to see any of this garbage. Your kids don't have to see this garbage if you don't give them a cell phone or tell them they can't have the app. So what does it come down to? And here we go again. Americans will own the technology and Americans will control the algorithm. That's what it comes down to. So again, if you're protesting, again, I've said this before in the past. This is what they want. They want this control of these apps. They want to see who's posting what. They want to see who's saying what. They want to see who's sharing what, right? And again, you get that social credit score with this new CBDC. Well, then it's all over, right, folks? That's what it comes down to. According to Lutnick, if this deal gets approved by the Chinese, then we will deal. This deal will happen. If they don't approve it, TikTok will go dark. Yeah, right. It's too popular. Too many businesses use. I think over 7 million businesses use this. Yeah, but again, they're going to China. They're saying, it's a state secret operation. I have no doubt about it. I have no doubt about it. They can collect data. All these apps can collect data. What do you think? What do you not think? Instagram and Facebook don't collect your data that you type on there. The CIA came to Mark Zuckerberg when he first made this, or when he first popularized it, I should say. I think someone else made it and he took it over. They can collect all this data. They know all this data. That's why they want this. That's why Facebook is so popular. They sell your data. That's how they make money, folks. In case you're unaware of this. So again, it totally violates our Fourth Amendment right, of course. Illegal search and seizure. But this is, so what, China's doing it? Now all of a sudden it's a big problem? Well, the U.S. gets in there and says, no way, our job. We collect all the data, not you. It's all about making money, selling data, getting information. Of course, China wants to do that. Yeah, I'm not saying it's right, but again, it's the same damn thing. Same damn thing. So again, be aware if your kids are on this TikTok app. They shouldn't be on this app. Again, if you're using it for business purposes, just be careful of what information you put out there. And I always say that to you. Don't accept, all the tracking and everything, the cookies or whatever the hell it is on there. Not a good thing, folks. Not a good thing. But I just don't understand this, that we come out and tell a private company in another country they must sell to us, otherwise we're not going to use it. Okay. China's in a stance of not really capitulating anything we do right now. So I don't think we're going to see anything of them selling it. I think they would have done it by now if they were honestly considering selling it to the United States or a U.S.-owned business. In which case, we'll just collect the information here. We'll make new algorithms here to get what we want. Probably run by the CIA or some intelligence operation. And that's how it'll be. They control the app. They control the information you get to see, folks. It's nothing new. Nothing new under the sun there. Let's talk about this Ghislaine Maxwell case. This is, again, something that keeps popping up. It keeps coming around in the news cycles. This seems to be what everyone is focusing on right now. Paul Kragarabas has a good article on this, and I will read this to you. He says, what explains Washington and Israel's opposition to questioning Ghislaine Maxwell? He's so right on this. It says here, attorney Alan Dershowitz, who was Epstein's lawyer at one point, is allegedly on this client list, but he calls for the release of these Epstein files and for the release of Ghislaine Maxwell under use immunity, which compels her to testify. In other words, Dershowitz wants to clear his name by getting to the bottom of this Epstein saga. So again, we've seen the list of these names. He's one of the names on there. He associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, that doesn't mean he was doing things illegal. I've always said this to you. Just because someone is associating with someone doesn't mean necessarily that they're doing something illegal. Now, it could mean that, but as I said to you once before, unless there is an investigation of what happened on these islands, in his private residencies all over the country and all over the world, and we get to the bottom of this, that we don't really have it. The list means nothing, if there even is a list. So the saga is that Epstein was a Mossad spy. That's been stated by many people that studied this. Financed, of course, by Israel, out of the billions of dollars that Israel extracts from the United States every year. Oh, we're so generous with our tax dollars, aren't we, folks? Now, Epstein's job was to implicate the American ruling establishment. Now, who are they talking about here? I saw Wesley Hunt posting in Breitbart this morning saying that the cover-up is to protect the Hollywood CEOs. Maybe. Again, It's the donor class. That's who we're talking about here. The donor class. The people with the money who back these politicians. This is who we're talking about right now. This is who it comes down to. This is who they're probably blackmailing. Yes, there's probably politicians in there and some higher-ups. Very higher-ups in there, too. But primarily, it's the donor class. You will give your money to X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, you wouldn't want this video to come out about you, would you? That's how it's getting. That's, to me, that makes the most logical sense here. And do I think that there are politicians or high-level actors or people in Hollywood or the entertainment business? Of course. We saw the same thing with the Puff Daddy case, or P. Diddy, or whatever the hell he calls himself today. Same situation, just different people involved, probably. So again, Epstein's job was to implicate the ruling class establishment in these sex crimes that enabled Israel to blackmail Washington into conforming with U.S. Middle Eastern policy, with Israel's policy. And we could just look at the last 24 years of our foreign policy in the Middle East. It pretty much mirrors what Israel wants us to do. That is a truism. You can't really get around that too much. Now, that being done, Washington destroyed, at the expense of the American lives here, money and its reputation, and of course 5 countries for Israel. And again, you can look at the Greater Israel Project. You can look at all the countries they want to expand into. Again, it's not hyperbole. That's me, not me saying it. This is exactly what's going on. And look no further than Netanyahu wanting America to destroy Iran for Israel. Because they are the other area in that region that is the holdout against them. That gets in their way of accomplishing what they want. So can Washington refuse when Netanyahu has this blackmail information accumulated by Epstein for Mossad, whom he had ties with? And again, I told you he had ties with certain prime ministers, certainly one of the presidents of Israel as well. He was connected. There's no doubt about it. He was connected. Now, the problem is neither Washington nor Netanyahu want Ghislaine Maxwell to testify. Why would they? Why put more exposure to this? So this is why I'm saying now, and I'm going to go over this shortly. And again, Trump was asked about this morning. It gets more ridiculous as time goes on. It doesn't seem to make much of any sense, folks. He's asked if he would pardon Ghislaine Maxwell now. This is what he had to say.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir. Pardon or clemency for Ghislaine?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to say is that Todd is a great attorney, but you ought to be speaking about Larry Summers. You ought to be speaking about some of his friends that are hedge fund guys. They're all over the place. You ought to be speaking about Bill Clinton, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to the island.
Do you maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my name, but that's happened a lot.
Okay. So, you see what he's being asked now. Are you going to pardon this woman? Really? Pardon this woman? That again, we're jumping into new territory every day with this case, folks. It's just a revolving door of ridiculousness involving this case. This is in USA Today. It says, Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell meets with DOJ for second day of talks. Closed door talks. What could possibly be talked about in this situation? That's a bit odd to me. The closed door discussions involve Maxwell, her attorneys, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Remember, I told you he was the guy? At least Bill O'Reilly said this, and I believe him. He was the guy that was holding up this information from being released. And we know that he was previously a personal defense lawyer for President Donald Trump. So now this British she's a sociopath, she's also a socialite, is now serving 28 years in prison in Tallahassee, Florida, for helping Epstein sexually abuse teenage girls. So let's pause and think about this. You were just gaslit for the last couple of weeks that there was no Epstein list, there was no crimes, it was just Epstein and Maxwell, 2 peas in a pod, doing this illegal activity. There's no list, there's no information, you're never going to see any video footage. It's over. So phase 1, you got a redacted binder of nothing, pages, with ink on it, all marked out. right? And you're told, don't worry, phase 2 is coming. Well, phase 2 was that it was all a Democratic hoax. That's what it came down to be. And now, of course, we're talking with Maxwell. About what? She already had a case. She already found guilty. So why aren't they releasing this documentation? Why are they not showing the files from this case and what was presented in this case? We heard nothing. We heard that she was in trial. Then we were told that she was found guilty, again, of sexually abusing teenage girls, and of course given 20 years. That's what we were told. She was the madam for Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we were told. So what could possibly be told on these closed doors discussion, folks? Well, clearly that they're, to me, this is just my own position here, they're positioning on her what to say. That's the only thing that could be said here. They're coaching her on what she needs to say to Congress. That's what it comes down to. Right? She's not going to do anything else. I mean, that's just what it is. That's what it comes down to. She's not going to admit to any guilt. She's going to say she was pressured into saying certain things. And she was found on conjuncture that she was involved in all this. That the real perpetrator is Epstein. He's dead. So why am I in jail? Why am I not pardoned by President Trump? I had nothing to do with it. That's what's probably being discussed right now. Now, who's the judge that's holding up this information, though? This is interesting to me. This U.S. District Judge, Robin L. Rosenberg, has denied DOJ's request to unseal grand jury transcripts from the 2005 to 2007 investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. That was when he was first arrested down in Florida. And it's interesting to note that her husband, Michael McAuliffe, was the Florida Attorney General in Palm Beach County who gave Epstein this sweetheart deal. So see how this is all working together? It's all orchestrated together? Yeah. They don't want you to know, folks. And they're doing their damnedest to make sure you never find out what's happening. Yeah, there we go. So, will you get anything from this? Will anything come from this? I doubt it. I doubt it. If they have her testify, I think she's going to plead the fifth again. I think that's what you're going to see. I can't see it being anything other than that. Than her going up there, pleading the fifth, stating she didn't know what was going on. That's the only thing I could see happening in this situation. What, you think they're going to put her out there and have her blow the whole story? They won't even show you the documentation from the case where all this was presented. And she was found guilty of it. So we look at this and we say, yep, we're getting her. That's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen with her. Nothing. As sure as I'm sitting here, nothing is going to happen with this case. Because they don't want this to blow up. That's why they're talking about, will you pardon her? Will you do this? Will you do that? Will anything happen here? What will you do? Nothing's going to happen here. Nothing's going to happen here. That's just the way it is, folks. And I hate to tell you that. We want justice here. We should hear from these, almost 1,000 victims? We don't hear anything about them. Some of them have committed suicide. And, we were told we're going to get these Epstein files out. And we were told that, obviously, we're going to bring people to justice. We're going to drain the swamp. And what do we find here? We find nothing. We find nothing. Nothing at all. No, nothing. You know what it's going to come down to? You know what's going to come down to? It's going to come down to this, folks. You'll remember this from The Godfather Part 2. Frank Pantangeli, remember that when he was questioned by Congress? Remember that? Take a listen.
I never knew no Godfather. I got my own family, Senator.
Mr. Pantangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone.
I don't know nothing about that. Oh. I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession? And do you realize what will happen as a result of your denial?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure, why not?
That's what's going to happen, folks. You are aware of this. This is what's going to happen. She's going to get in there and say, I didn't know what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. I have no idea what's going on. You know, the FBI guys, when they investigated me, I said, yeah, sure, tell me what to sign and give me a plea deal, and I don't know nothing about this. I never saw anything. I was never there when Jeffrey did all these awful things that these women are talking about. Yeah, no, nothing's there. Nothing's there. There you go, folks. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be something along those lines. That's what it's going to be. That's all you're going to get from this. So don't expect anything. Nothing's going to happen with this testifying. If anything, she'll plead the fifth, and she'll probably walk as a result. And probably, join Jeffrey wherever the hell he is today, because I doubt he committed suicide. That's just my take. Mossad does not kill Mossad, folks. Just thought I'd bring that up. Thought I'd update you on the latest with the Epstein saga. And again, they don't want her to testify. They don't want to testify. So if she does testify, that's all you're going to get. So don't look for anything new. Don't look for anyone to get arrested. It's not going to happen. And for the reasons I told you before, it's going to take down the American political system if it does. All right, let's move on to this next article. Speaking of, things that are being taken down, the state of California's energy sector is crumbling right in front of our eyes. This is in Reuters. It says here, in a rare move, California steps in to find buyer for Valero refinery to avoid closure. The state that keeps on giving. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful right now. So the California government officials are now trying to find a buyer now for Valero's energy in Benicia near San Francisco. Three sources familiar with the matter said an unusual effort as the clock ticks down as the company's planned closure of the facility in April. So we have another oil refinery that's going to close in California. We've already got 3, right? This will be the 4th. They already want to close the Phillips 66 refinery in Wilmington, down by in LA County. This one is in Northern California. And just to illustrate, why is the state government, who pretends to be so high on its hog on these environmental policies and this green energy nonsense that they've tried to work, why are they not trying to save a refinery from closure, trying to find another potential buyer and benefactor? Because the price of gasoline, let me share this with you, the price of gasoline in California is going to skyrocket if another refinery goes under. Because what's going to happen, thanks to, again, the environmental regulations and policies, California has to have its own special blend of gasoline, right? You never heard anything so stupid. That burns a certain way, so you get less carbon footprint. I mean, this is what it is. So what's going to happen is they're going to have to go to another refinery or other refineries outside of the state of California, and they're going to have to get them to produce this certain blend to now import into California, which is going to cost even more money. So among the highest gasoline prices in the country, it's going to go even higher. They estimate it to be between $6 and $8 should more of these refineries begin to close. Well, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't make this stuff up. It says they're the state's primary energy and policy planning agency. God knows what they plan. The destruction of the state. California's Energy Commission has actively sought buyers for this plant. The CEC declined to say whether it was engaged directly with buyers for the facility, but acknowledged that it was working to ensure the facility remains open. So now they're fumbling. So these policies have destroyed so many businesses. And this is a very big plant, by the way. They produce 145,000 barrels per day in this area. So now you have declining fuel supply, you're going to get a higher gasoline price. That's just the way it is. And you also have, as I said before, Phillips 66 said last October will shut down the LA area refinery due to market dynamics. What are those dynamics? It's the government in Sacramento. That's what it comes down to. They produce 139,000 barrels per day at this plant. So again, good paying jobs. Where are they looking to go? Elsewhere. Because they're not making any money in California. Because of all the regulations, all the taxes, all these environmental BS that they have to put up with nonstop. It's not a good thing, folks. Not a good thing. And of course, Valero's also looking at one of their other refineries that's producing 91,000 barrels per day in Los Angeles. So it's just chaotic. You're seeing these once great refineries that produce fuel, that can produce oil. In many regards, oil is found in about 145 different things, not just cars and engine blocks. It's a whole slew of things. And now they're going to kick up the prices even higher in California, which are already much, much higher than the national average. And it all comes down also to getting these drilling leases in California to drill for oil, which again, Kern County in Central California is super rich in oil. Absolutely rich. And they won't let you drill. They put permits on this. They try to prevent you from drilling. So what are they doing here then? If they can't drill for the oil, if they got to go someplace else like Texas, among other states, they're going to leave and get the hell out of there and produce in another state, take all the good paying jobs with them. And now you have this empty refinery. They're just going to sit there and do nothing. So Gavin Newsom, again, destroying more jobs. By the way, California in 2025 has added, guess how many jobs this year? Guess how many jobs they've added? 0. If you guessed 0, you were right. It's 0. 0 jobs. Thanks to Gavin Newsom. You know what I think he's doing with the oil? I think he's putting it in his hair. That's what it comes down to. That's why he's Governor Hair Gel. He's putting all the oil in his hair. It's seeping in the brain. He can't think straight. Which is why he's such a dunce. So more bad policy coming out of California. It's not going to be good, folks, if these refineries continue to close. So, not a good thing. Not at all. This is a good article here. I like this one. This is a win in California, which is very rare. It's very rare that we get wins in California, but here's a good one. This is in Bloomberg Law. It says here that court rejects California law requiring ammo background check. So before it was if you had to purchase a firearm, obviously went through a background check, and you had to wait a certain number of days to pick up their firearm. Go through the same strategic process and the procedures to get this gun, FBI background check, all that. Well, now, if you want to go purchase firearm for that firearm that you have already legally acquired, and it's already registered to the state of California, which again is not a good thing. As I told you before, they want a national registry of guns or a state registry of guns because they could use it against you in some way. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. So the issue now is, now they wanted you to pass a background check to even purchase ammo. I mean, there's no constitutional authority to any of this, of course. So now this California law, written by the Democrats in Sacramento, requiring a background check for ammunition purchases is unconstitutional. A split federal appeals court said on Thursday, striking down the state's first in the nation gun control effort. Remember Gavin Newsom? He was on some show last week or so. It's like, I appreciate the First Amendment. I'm not anti-gun. Yes, he is. He's absolutely anti-gun. He's passed at least a dozen anti-gun bills into effect upon taking office. He's not done yet. He'll pass more, don't worry. So because none of the historical analogies by California within the relevant time frame or it is relevantly similar to California's ammunition background check regime, the law fails to satisfy the two-step test under New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Van Buren. It's with the U.S. Appeals Court of the Ninth Circuit, which is getting some of these rare wins right now, which is very good to me. I like this. Stating it's unconstitutional to force people to pass a background check to buy ammunition. Obviously for a gun that they've already passed a background check to. So the ruling is now a blow to these Democrats in California, these lawmakers who hate you, by the way, who have passed some of the strictest gun regulations in the United States. They've sought to blunt the impact of the U.S. Supreme Court's 2022 ruling in Van Buren, which set a new two-part test for analyzing Second Amendment challenges to gun measures and overturned a New York State law restricting public handgun carry. So again, you think about New York, you think about Illinois, California, all these states that are trying to prevent you from having a firearm to protect yourself, which is your right, by the way. Shall not be infringed. That's what it says in the Constitution. And look how I can't even think of the word I want to use for these people. Look how these losers try to prevent you from owning a gun. Look at this. But the illegal alien can have a gun, and they'll let you right out back on the streets if you're caught using one. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Not a thing. Not a thing. You can't make this stuff up. So there you go, folks. We have a rare win in California for the Second Amendment again. It's fantastic. Now we have to get this capacity ban taken away, removed, because that's another thing that's unconstitutional. You know, there are certain firearms in California they won't even let you purchase because they won't pass the safety testing for them. That's another way they're trying to get away from you from purchasing certain firearms. They refuse to do safety testing. That way you can't sell the gun in that state. They're very clever in some regards, these Democrats. You have to give them some credit. But good on this court. This is a good thing. You should not be hassled to have to go in and, again, pass a background check to purchase ammunition. Ridiculousness. Absolute ridiculousness. And look at this. Purchasers undergo and pay for background checks. So you're paying for the background check before buying the bullets, right? And now they're trying to get you to do it again. So it's another way for them to make money as well. It's so stupid. It really is. It's not saving anybody. None of these laws do, by the way. Because, again, criminals do not follow the law. I don't know what's wrong with these Democrats. Criminals do not follow the laws. They're just the way it is. You think someone's going to come into a store and go through a background check and then go out and try to use the ammunition to hurt somebody? I think not, folks. I think not. And again, you see a lot of these mass shootings, these cases of robbery. It's not people that are law-abiding citizens that go through the proper channels to purchase firearms or ammunition. It never is. And yet you're told you've got to go through all these loopholes to show that you were a law-abiding citizen. It's unbelievable. The Second Amendment encompasses ammunition since a gun isn't operable without it. So that this is what they're saying. So you're able to own the gun, but you can't buy the ammunition that goes in the gun. It's so ridiculous. So stupid, folks. Thank God. That's all I have to say. Thank God as a gun owner. And of course, thank God there's some sanity left in the Ninth Circuit. Good for them. I'm very happy to see this. And I'm sure many California gun owners as well. Now we just have to knock out the other remaining anti-gun laws, these gun control laws, and maybe we'll be on track. Who knows? We'll see. One last article I want to go over today before we hit the weekend. This is in USA Today as well. This is a good article. I like this one. This is very good. It says here, RFK Jr. to remove controversial ingredient from all flu vaccines in the United States. What are they talking about here? Says Health Secretary RFK Jr. signed a controversial recommendation on July 23rd from a vaccine panel that advised removing thimerosal from all influenza vaccines. Now, thimerosal is a preservative that they put in these vaccines. It's been largely phased out in many, and has been targeted by the anti-vax, is what they say here. These advocates, despite broad scientific consensus that it is safe. Oh, okay. Really? Thimerosal, which is mercury, by the way, which is a heavy metal, and a neurotoxin, is apparently safe to use, is what they're saying here in this article. It's not. Otherwise, why would you be taking it out? Why would you be taking it out of the vaccine? That's the problem here. Now, folks, a quick search on the internet. Does mercury belong in the bloodstream? Yes or no? Here's what my wonderful AI just told me. Mercury is a toxic heavy metal that should not be present in the bloodstream. While trace amounts may occur due to environmental exposure, think of what they spray in the skies, I'll let you figure that one out. High levels lead to serious health issues, including damage to the nervous system and the kidneys. Oh. Where do you think all this metal goes to, primarily? It passes the blood-brain barrier. It's stored in the brain, of course, among many areas of the body. And, of course, it circulates throughout your entire body, getting into your organs, destroying them. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think? It sounds like a bad thing to me, don't you? So a quick, easy search totally debunks everything they're saying. You learn this in basic chemistry, that mercury doesn't go in the bloodstream. Now, I'm old enough to remember back in the day, they used to have those thermometers, those glass thermometers. You put it under the tongue, you hold it, and then you take it out. It's got mercury in it. And so my mother always said, do not bite this, because if you do, we have to go to the hospital. I'd say, why? She said, because there's mercury in it. Now, me, a kid, I don't know what the hell that means. Okay, there's mercury in it. I won't bite it, because I don't want to go to the hospital. But we're saying it's okay to put these in a vaccine and inject it into everybody every year and put this toxic compound into our bloodstream. Again, that goes to the brain, that destroys the nervous system, that destroys the kidney function, renal function. That's okay. So now, this is a recommendation, and the call against thimerosal was first presented by Lynn Redwood, a former leader of the Children's Health Defense, an anti-vaccine group founded by Kennedy himself. So this is good. I like this. I want this taken out. He should take this out. He should remove all these adjuvants out of these vaccines. Now, during a meeting with the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, members voted against recommending certain vaccines to contain thimerosal, despite widespread disapproval from the medical community. Why would the medical community want this? It's a neurotoxin, folks. It is a neurotoxin. So again, a doctor saying it's okay to put mercury in the bloodstream, again, it's not where it belongs, folks. Not where it belongs at all. We have an immune system for a reason. I haven't been sick since 2012. That was the last time I was sick. Actually sick. Like I have to lay down in bed for a couple days sick. I had the flu. That was the last time I got it. I've never taken a flu shot once in my life. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. You can make your own decision. But I don't get the flu ever. I take my supplements. I take my vitamin C, my vitamin D3. Make sure I take plenty of iodine. Take zinc, quercetin, all these things that are good for the immune system. Vitamin E, among other things. Drink plenty of water. Get sunlight. Do my grounding. Make sure I exercise. Make sure I'm not just sitting down all day, bringing you this great talk show. But again, we see this happening, and again, it's getting more exposure ever since this COVID vaccine. That these shots that are clearly toxic. Don't even get me started with the COVID shot. But these other shots, too, need to be looked at. Because now kids are getting, 76, 78 different shots from birth all the way to 18? Before it was 6, I think, 6, 7 originally. Now they're getting 78. What new viruses exist today that didn't exist 50 years ago? That we need to take 78 different shots and give them to these young children. And again, the moment of birth, they get a Hep B shot? It's a sexually transmitted disease, folks. I don't understand that. And they give them a vitamin K shot. To a newborn. Moments after birth. Injecting newborns with these Shots that, again, contain things like thimerosal in them and other adjuvants that don't belong in the body. Everybody told, hey, it's to protect them, it's to help them out. It's ridiculous, is what it is. It's not protecting anybody. Kids are sicker today now than they ever have been. And look at our society. All it is filled with sick people. They never talk about the proper means to eating clean or exercising or sunlight or proper supplementation, getting the right nutrients in your diet, getting a balance of nutrients in your diet. They never talk about that, ever. Did you hear once during COVID? Did Fauci, the little twerp, ever come out there and say, well, you need to take your vitamin C, your vitamin D3. People with these levels don't seem to get COVID. Did he ever say that to you? He never said that to you once. Not a once. He never said that to you. He never said anything about getting sunlight every day. If you can, obviously, people live in areas where you can get sunlight every day. Some people live in areas where you don't. Never said anything about exercising or getting fresh air. None of it. It was stay inside, lock yourself down, watch your television, do all that. Nothing positive that would help boost your immune system. Nothing. Nothing at all. After more than 2 decades of delay, this action fulfills a long overdue promise to protect our most vulnerable populations from unnecessary mercury exposure, is what Kennedy said in his statement. He's right about this. He's absolutely right about this. So these preservatives, again, such as thimerosal, are compounds that kill or prevent the growth of microorganisms, such as bacteria and fungi, according to the Food and Drug Administration. Yet somehow the same FDA approves these vaccines to inject this sludge into your body. Now, however, improvements in manufacturing technology have decreased the need for such preservatives. Okay, whatever. I mean, it's so ridiculous. There's aluminum in these vaccines. There's, again, thimerosal, which is a mercury. Doesn't need to be in there, folks. As for the Center for Disease Creation and Production, I just called it that, it's the CDC, briefly document compiled by the staff and posted on its website noted that in the 2024-2025 season, 96% of all vaccines, of these influenza vaccines, in the United States were thimerosal-free. God knows what else they put in it. God knows what else is in there. Who knows? And again, you should always know what you put in your body, folks, because I guarantee you that they're taking the thimerosal out, they're putting something else in it. So again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you anything about what you should do with your health. But what I am saying to you is that you should know what's going in your body. That's the way it should be. Always. And we talk about health as a staple on this show because without our health, we don't have anything else. And if you become infirm and sick, what else are you going to do? You become less productive. You're going to spend so much money on the petrochemical industry that we have now, that we spend billions upon billions of dollars on every year for things that are absolutely preventable. I had to go to the dentist this morning and they checked my blood pressure. And 111 over 74, that's not bad for someone in their late 30s. I had to tell you, but again, I take the right supplements. I make sure I exercise right. I make sure I get out. I get the sunlight. My immune system is strong. I do my grounding as much as I can. And as a result of that, I'm a healthier person. I don't have to worry about being on any type of medication. I'm not on any type of medication. I won't even take Tylenol because it's so toxic to the body, especially to the liver. But that's who I am. I choose to eat right. I choose to eat as clean as I can, organic. And that's why we had that article about the appeal. Bill Gates, his appeal that he wants to put on even organic food now. So again, you have to know what you put in your bodies. It's important. So don't blow things like that off, folks. Don't blow things like that off because you need to know what's in your body. It's important. Folks, hope you enjoyed this show today. I do appreciate everybody being here with me. It's been great, obviously, sharing all this information with you. I hope you'll share the show with some friends to keep people awake as well. That's what I want from the show. I want you to get awake. I want you to understand. I want you to learn, of course. So please, if you can, share the show with as many people as you can that are awake, or maybe they need to be awake, but it helps get the word out there. Please make sure you're keeping your house in order. Make sure you're staying square with God, folks. And make sure you're checking out the Marco Dre Show next week when I see you again. So until then, be good, stay busy. God bless.